So the first one is called The Incredibles, but the second one is called Incredibles 2. It's not The Incredibles 2, just Incredibles. Why? Seems like a pretty weird change to make. Now, does it actually matter? No, it does not. It's just my OCD kicking in. Anyway, I was never a massive fan of the original movie. I saw it once when it came out and then pretty much forgot about it. I didn't hate it or anything. I don't know. It just didn't make much of an impact on me. Maybe it was too much of a kid's movie for my teenage brain. Who knows? But I just rewatched it. And it honestly felt like a brand new movie to me. I remembered basically nothing of it, just the characters. Even the villain just felt vaguely familiar, which was a good thing, I guess. I kinda got a fresh take on it. And I liked it. Quite a bit, actually. I wouldn't say I loved it, but it was very good, which of course made me a bit more hyped to watch the sequel. Now, Pixar sequels have been a little bit spotty. I mean, Cars 2, yikes. But then again, Toy Story 3, great movie, I loved it. And Brad Bird is a great filmmaker. He knows what he's doing. So this had the potential to be pretty good. However, it's no Toy Story 3. Now, it is a very entertaining movie. And not a bad sequel either. But it was just more lighthearted fun than anything else. As far as the depth and themes go, it's not up there with the Toy Stories or Inside Out. And I did actually at first have some trouble trying to figure out what exactly it was lacking, what the problem was, why I didn't love it. Because I did enjoy it, and I had no obvious issues with it. But after some dissecting, I did notice a few problems. And a couple of big ones, actually. And they didn't outright bother me while watching the movie. But they did probably affect the overall impact of the story, subconsciously. But before I get into that, I just need to mention that after watching both of these movies, I'm a little bit surprised by just how far 3D animation has come in 14 years. Because this thing looks fantastic. And the contrast to the first one is pretty stark. There's just so much more detail. More nuance to the movements, more micro expressions on the faces. The textures are so much better looking, but the lighting is just phenomenal and so much more varied too. So with that out of the way, back to my issues with the movie. First of all, the baby, Jack. He takes up a lot of the movie. Now, he is absolutely adorable and fun as hell. I'm not gonna deny that. Actually, he's probably my favorite thing about the whole movie. However, so much of the movie is devoted to him, but he doesn't really impact the overall story enough to really warrant that much screen time. If you really break it down, he's actually mostly comic relief. And yeah, he does play a bigger role in the bigger picture, but it's really nothing one of the other kids couldn't have done, just as easily. Now you could argue that he's important to the character arc of the dad, which kinda brings me to the second problem. The dad's arc is basically to realize that what the mom's been doing is a lot of work. And the mom's whole arc is basically realizing that what the dad's been doing is a lot of work. Yeah, I'd call that flimsy at best. It didn't feel very impactful. Which brings me to the bigger picture issue, the main story. So this one picks up exactly where the last one left off. And in the beginning of the movie, superheroes are still basically outlaws, right? That whole thing didn't get resolved in the first movie. And it's a really big issue. It's a worldwide issue that essentially affects everyone. And it's been going on for years. It's really not a trivial matter. So the main story here is that they're gonna change that. They're gonna change the public perception and make supers legal again. That's the basic premise here. Not a small issue to deal with, right? I mean, they didn't get around to it in the first movie. They had a lot of other things to deal with. Well, once again, that whole thing basically takes a backseat to all the other plot lines. The mom, the dad, the baby, the daughter, the villain. All of those things get a lot more screen time than the actual big picture issue here. The issue that affects the whole world. But at the end of the movie, it still gets resolved. And it didn't feel deserved. Because it didn't really feel like much of an issue. They run around, do a bit of PR, and boom, problem solved. Just like that. And I guess they couldn't do another movie where the whole thing still didn't get dealt with, but it all just felt really rushed. And that should have really been the focus of the whole movie, not the baby. Would it have been less fun? Maybe, probably, but also more impactful. And let's be honest, the less than subtle social commentary about social media and screen addiction and all the other things they tried to cram in there didn't exactly help this movie. And the one thing that actually did bother me while watching it was the fact that I saw one of the major plot points coming a mile away. Kinda lessened the impact too, which also comes down to a lack of subtlety. That being said, I can't claim it wasn't a good movie, because I enjoyed it. It was fun. But if you dig into it, there's some pretty serious issues with it. And I guess that's the difference between a good and a great Pixar movie. The great ones are just a bit more focused and make sure that the core of the movie is rock solid before they build on it. So would I recommend it? Sure, it's a fun middle of the road Pixar movie. Not one of the best, not one of the worst. So go watch it, or don't. I'm not your super daddy.